Hey, good evening, y'all. Tonight we got a special show. We got our show tonight is um the review on Self Made, the Madam C.J. Walker story um by Netflix. It came out Friday. Hopefully, our audience, most of our audience that would like to be involved in our conversation. Hopefully, everybody has watched the show. I'm gonna have a question that's gonna be on the bottom of the screen momentarily to just to question the audience with some things. We have Drea. She's one of our panelists tonight. We got Keisha as one of our panelists tonight. And we got a new guest, Queen of Sheba. She's one of our panelists. Hopefully, this won't be her last time.
No, it
I,
won't.
I myself didn't know she liked to do movies, but one of the things that we want to do for the page is to do an occasional movie review. Definitely movies and or documentaries that affect the culture.
Mm.
And we're gonna allow Queen of Sheba to tell us first her opinion on the movie review.
My opinion is that I think that at the end of the day, if anything, if you watch it, you should be able to walk away with a list of questions to ask, and with those questions, be able to do some research to find out more about Madam CJ Walker. I believe that the Netflix was just the surface, and I feel like more information needs to be brought out about it. But just like with all films, you're not going to get the full picture, and there will be some sensationalizing to make it ready for TV. So that's where I stand on it thus far.
Drea. Well, Keisha, you go. Drea jumped out. She'll jump back in.
Okay, so I had for a made for TV movie. I guess it was okay. Octavia Spencer, she did good. Blair Underwood, Tiffany Haddish, but I'm not a Tiffany Haddish fan. Now, to say all that, and for some black people to put this movie together and make it about colorism when that's not the truth, I have a problem. I had a problem with that. Um, I think she coming back. Why would you make it like this other black woman didn't help her, or she was a high yellow heifer, and all these different things when we still have issues of colorism within our community? Like why would black people put that? And maybe because I'm a darker skinned woman and I've experienced colorism, but to me, she didn't come across as someone that I would be proud of. Like for me, the movie kind of tarnished her reputation more so than anything else. That was one of the major issues I had with it. Another issue is her daughter was a part of the Harlem Renaissance. That was a story within itself. Why they have to make her gay? Why? I mean, she had three husbands, whether she was gay or not, but there's no proof that she was gay. The Harlem Renaissance alone is enough to talk about outside of just making her gay. And then people wonder why we feel like it's a gay agenda. That wasn't necessary. Um, I also didn't like how they diminished her husband because he did more than if you did any research, he did more than they made him like a B-list player. I didn't like that. So it was just a couple of things that, and then she stole from that lady. I mean, as a business owner, like y'all walking around like, oh, I'm just so proud. No, she stole from Annie Malone. Like, so I don't know. So I just had several. I was not. It made me not like C.J. Walker. I don't know if it was just me, but I did not walk away like, oh, And she did some phenomenal things, but to me, they didn't show any phenomenal things. To me, she played victim. Like that's how. Oh, like all these light skinned women is against me. Like, word in 2020, these niggas, this is what y'all put out. So now that's how I felt about it.
Drea.
I'm back. I don't know what happened because maybe it's gonna be too hot for the stream. So I caught on to what everyone was saying. I didn't like the inspired by. So let's remember, everyone, it's inspired by. It's not her autobiography of Madam C.J. Walker. It pretty much talked about colorism, sexism, and I think it was more like, let's think about it. It launched this month, which is Women's Month, right? So to inspire just women alone. She did still, so we have to always stop saying, "Oh, I want to be like Madam C.J. Walker." So you want to steal folks' ideas. That's what you're pretty much singing. Also, too, especially with the part of, well, you need to look like me, so we have to look like a European, Eurocentric person in order to sell some type of, sales and marketing. Another thing I definitely did not like, because I'm a Tuskegee grad, Booker T. Washington, how he was portrayed in the movie. And Booker T. Washington, when it was Tuskegee Institute, pretty much allowed all type of women, to come into, to be accepted into Tuskegee Institute. So how they portrayed him being sexist, I had a big problem with that as well. Especially he had 3 educated Black women that he married. So I had a big issue with that. Another issue that I had, how it was just like demeaning the Black men, like, oh, I'm not going to support you. This is our business as well, and also the victimization. I didn't like that piece because I'm like, okay, and she's constantly a victim, but she's making all this, millions of dollars. And the last piece, I felt that was kind of weird, how she lived next to Rockefeller. And that was her inspiration to like live next to Rockefeller. You heard Spelman College being thrown around because the young lady wants to Spelman College. So it was like, was you being an inspiration for Black people or Black women, or was it to aspire to be accepted by white acceptance? So that's what I got from the movie.
Well, we have one of our esteemed co-hosts making a beautiful guest appearance.
I just got like 4 text messages. They were like, "Where are you?" I logged off. I was like, "Log back on. I'll go on."
Well, the thing is, for the audience purposes, I did not touch base with Shakita, so I didn't know if she watched the movie. And one thing that Shakita will do, if she didn't watch it, she won't talk about it. So, Shakita, did you happen to see it, young lady?
So, I've seen. Hi, Toshiba. Hi, Keisha. I've seen 1 episode, and that was the first one. So I can discuss the first episode. I mean, but you guys talk. I mean, perspective is perspective.
Yeah.
Well, I'm gonna just, before I let the ladies continue talking, and I'm the only man on the panel.
Thank God.
I want to be as respectful to the legacy of Madam C.J. Walker as possible. The movie was complete trash.
Oh wow!
LeBron James and Maverick Carter,
right?
Yeah,
put the money behind it. I'm very upset with them because they kind of have a pulse of the culture, and for them to put their money behind a movie like that is trash. Cassie Lemons, who directed the movie, as well as that trash Harriet, she needs to be tied up and whipped for making movies like this.
I didn't see Harriet either.
Yeah, me neither.
With all due
I
respect,
didn't see Harriet.
You saw it, Toshiba?
And
no.
I'm gonna let the ladies continue. With all due respect, is that when you're doing a movie talking about a historical figure,
right,
you don't have to add anything to it.
Mm-hmm.
Or you don't have to take anything to it. These are our ancestors, and when you do this, you destroy their legacy because a lot of people don't like to read. A lot of people are not going to just a basic Google search and realize, like, hold up, this whole story is not true.
Right.
So I just ask that going forward, if the people that make movies and ascribe to be writers, that all you got to do is just stick to the script.
Mm-hmm.
Because I didn't know much about Madam C.J. Walker prior to this, and I had to look her up, and I'm looking her up while I'm watching the movie on the phone with Keisha, and I'm like, this ain't right.
Right.
So if anything, for someone that didn't know anything about her because I'm a male and I don't know anything about hair, they really destroyed her legacy, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm gonna let you young ladies continue and finish talking about the movie.
May I go first?
Yes.
I'm not going to totally bash the movie in the sense that I do appreciate the fact that, if not for nothing, at least it brought more awareness to a younger generation, or a generation of people who may not have been familiar with Madam C.J. Walker, period.
Mm-hmm.
So I believe now that it's another chance for it to be a household name again. That's number one. Number two, I would have liked for the movie to really highlight more of her accomplishments.
Mm-hmm.
I would have liked for it to have really delved into how much money this woman really made,
Mm-hmm.
and how many people she was able to employ prior to the Great Depression, and the difference that she made within the African American community during a time in which segregation was that's just what it was. That was the way of life.
Right.
And within segregation, we as a people were able to flourish more because we kept our dollars within our community. And she employed thousands upon thousands of people. They didn't touch on any of that.
They didn't.
And I would have liked for them to have done that in the film. You briefly spoke about Maverick and LeBron executive producing. That's just a name attached to it. They put their money into it. I wish they would have done more research into the storyline itself and what was going to be put out there for the masses. So I just wanted to start off just talking about that, her wealth and what was done and what she accomplished. In a very short time. She was not a very old woman, but she lived a very prosperous life.
Agree.
Dre, would you like to speak on Anne Malone?
Right. So Anne Malone, I did some research, and also it came across my Facebook today on how pretty much Anne Malone, they also discredit her a lot as well in regards to how many salons, how many schools that she started, just not only in the United States, but like in the, West Indian Islands and other places. How many people she put through school, as far as with beauty products, whatever the case is, and how she amassed so much wealth to the point white men pretty much wanted to court her in St. Louis because they was wondering, like, how does she get in this certain tax bracket? So they kind of pinned her as a villain, right? Of like, oh, I'm stalking, Madame C.J. Walker because I moved to, Indianapolis. Here she go, pop it up in Indianapolis. She had her own enterprise and her own, wealth that she was circulating as well. And even though they did have this, competition, but they did work together as well, as Denise accounted for. But I think a lot of times too is going back to sensationalism. They need that drama, right? So like, oh, we got to have light skin versus dark skin, because that's what it seemed like in the movie. Like, oh, here goes the colorism. Look at my hair, is longer than yours. Look at you looking a mess. You need me. You need to look like me. But besides all that, they both was successful in their own right. Because let's think about it, it's different demographics that they was also serving, and they had different sales taxes. So I think a lot of times too, they took away from that as well, in the movie to create, like I said, more viewership, more people to really be like, oh, let me buy in and watch the rest of the series and see what's going to happen.
Keisha, I know you was upset about
the colorism.
Yeah, and I know that's something that you had brought to my attention.
Yeah, no, I just didn't think, because to me, they already had a natural story. She was, C.J. Walker was her number one seller or number two, top 5, and then stole her, they had a falling out, she stole her product and started, that's natural drama right there. They didn't have to make it about colorism. why would you want to, like, we still dealing with that now in 2020. Like, why would y'all made a conscious choice to put that in the movie? I had a problem with that. And I have a problem as if like you're a dark skinned girl and you got to be a victim. Now, for me, maybe it's hitting a little different, and for somebody else, it probably went right over their head. But you know, like, no, I didn't never live like that, but I do know that it's people who do, and I know it was people in the background cheering, like, yeah, that high yellow heifer. No, like, we don't need that. Not in 2020.
So, I want to ask opinions about that, because I watched the first episode, and at the very beginning of the first episode, they instantly hit you with this, you are this, I am this. Everybody wants to look like me, and I'm not gonna allow you to sell my product. So from my perspective, to me, I wasn't even thinking colorism. I was thinking hair. I was thinking, you have more of a kinkier, curlier hair. My hair is longer and straighter. They want to look like me. I literally was thinking hair. And I instantly was thinking like how there are these, like before, when the natural movement first kind of got big in our generation, because it's been one in every generation. So when the natural hair got big in our generation, I remember seeing a lot of products like Mixed Chicks and all of these products that did not work well in everybody's hair. And I remember people saying, like, you know, there was people like, oh, how'd you get your hair so curly? And I'll be like, well, I use such and such. And they'd be like, yeah, you got nappy hair too. Why are you using that? And I'll be like, it works for my hair. So, you know, and then as time went on, there were more products that were, you know, like Shea Butter, Shea Moisture. Right. Some of everybody can use, it's more people can use that product. Different types of hair textures can use that products. And as the movement got a little bit bigger, more products people could switch back and forth to different products and figure out what works best for them. And that was no longer an issue. And when I saw this first episode, that's what I instantly thought of. Listening to all three of you speak of colorism, and then to hear Keisha say, it might have went over one person's head, but this is how I looked at it. This is how I took it. I did not see colorism first. I was thinking of the different types of hair texture. The whole, you know, I have good hair versus bad hair. That's what I was seeing. So I wasn't seeing light skin, you know, raped by the slave. I thought I heard that. Yeah. That whole confrontation they had, I thought I heard that. But I wasn't feeling that at all. I was more or less feeling like, you know, she was coming for her because her hair was kinkier, and you know, she got this long hair down her back, and all of the girls that worked for her had the long hair to sell her product. Like, my product made their hair grow and be this texture.
Let me ask you ladies a question. How do you feel as though her husband was portrayed?
That's a touchy one, because Blair was real fond in this movie. I'm sorry. He plays a villain so well. He plays a villain so well.
He was portrayed as a villain in a way. But then again, right? It seems like he loved her and she was sunning him and not paying him any attention.
Right. But what I also picked up on, and they did not elaborate on this at all, was the fact that the husband, CJ, was a salesman.
Right.
He was a salesman. And just from being in his presence and being his wife, I'm sure she learned her sales tactics from him and picked up on some things from him, because
he helped her.
In that movie, you saw how phenomenal of a saleswoman that Madam CJ Walker was. And at the end of the day, she did not sell that product. She sold the story. And that's what I got from him, the husband, in the movie. And they didn't really elaborate on that at all. They did elaborate how much he adored her, how much they loved one another, how much he was in her corner. But that backbone, you know, I'm going to always refer back to the business aspect of it. They did not touch on what he taught her to plateau that product.
And what a great story that would have been, you know, to watch this and like you keep saying, he was so fine. I can see this beautiful Black man come behind this woman, help her, love her, no matter what she thought she looked like.
Mm-hmm.
You know, no matter how much she talked down on herself, and thought that she was ugly in some way, shape, or form. I don't even know if that's true, but that's just how they portrayed it in the movie. Mm-hmm. So to watch him come in, love her for who she is, help her, nourish, do all of that stuff and help her sell, that'd have been a great story.
Right. And I like the fact.
I just think that they should have showed the partnership of it, like Black love, like they had they fallen out for whatever reason,
right?
But they made it seem like he was nothing, like everything was about her. But if you do research, it doesn't seem like it was that way.
Right? Because you imagine that's the kind of man every Black woman wants,
right?
And then that comes in to support you to be able to see that would have been so dope.
Exactly. And they didn't emphasize like the family unit because everybody, her in-laws was involved, her daughter was involved, and that's an extension of him, right?
Right.
They didn't emphasize that, like, oh, her father-in-law was involved, her sister-in-law was involved, like her brother-in-law. They was just showing, okay, here we go with the Black man versus Black woman, tension again to once again sensationalize and make you, view it even more. And just even how, okay, he knew how to put together ads and really have a storyline and really sell it. And another thing, what I like too is like, he knew how to deal with her strong-willed nature. Like, okay, you want to go meet Booker T. Washington? All right, we're gonna go, and you're gonna sit there with us with all the men. He could have easily said, "Nah, why don't you just go in the back?" Which he did, allude to. But she was like, "No, I'm gonna go up there and I'm gonna still, meet Booker T. Washington." So he allowed her to be her. So I like that part.
Hey, Drea, one of the things I know that struck your nerve with you as a Tuskegee graduate. That's one thing they did talk about is the beef between Booker T. Washington and W.E.B. Du Bois.
that struck my nerves. One, first of all, Booker T. Washington was not light skinned. Let's get that out the way. Okay.
I thought it was just me.
That really pissed me off to the nth degree. He had great eyes, yes, but he was not light skinned. Like I said, what struck a nerve, of course, they did talk about the W.E.B. Du Bois beef, but I was very pissed about that sexism because if Booker T. Washington was very sexist as they portray him to be, Tuskegee Institute and my alma mater Tuskegee University, it wouldn't be women. We outnumber the men on campus and as an alumni. And like I said, his 3 wives helped build that school.
Well, let me ask you. Well, one of the things that Sheba alluded to. That was very, very that they really didn't do the show justice was how much money both of these extraordinary women donated to HBCUs. Like they funded them basically, and I think the Malone lady, Ann Malone, actually started her own college.
You're right.
One of our questioners said that they think Tiffany Haddish should get an Oscar.
No.
I'm going to let you guys answer that before I say anything.
I heard so many complaints about her. They was like, no matter what era the movie is in, no matter how old she is in the movie, she is literally the same character.
Yes.
Girl,
correct.
Get away from
that.
Yes. Yeah. Agreed. And my husband said that. He was like, she's playing herself. And I said, yep, babe, she is literally playing herself, except for, a little bit of piece there, here and there, but she literally played herself.
I understand that, she's a hot commodity right now and they want to stick her here and
everywhere.
But I felt like this movie or whatever you want to call it, I felt like it was too important.
Right.
And they should have gotten a stronger character to play that role. And show me that Harlem Renaissance and show me how your mother gave you that business and show me how you went in there and turned things around. I mean, these women were moving from state to state. They were going after that bag.
Right.
Period.
Exactly.
And I felt like they
were moving
made a joke of it. Literally with Tiffany Haddish being a comedian.
Let me ask a question because as the only male on the panel, do you think that do you guys? Because I know all four of you young ladies are career oriented women as well as family women. Do you think that a lot of men say that they don't like to be sunned, so to say? Do you think that movie portrayed the movie like she treated Blair Underwood's character like, yo, he's a kid, like his opinions don't matter? Like she always, in my opinion, she looked at him with a look of disdain, even though what he was saying was correct. Was like more like, you a hater, like, but he really never did hate it on her. And as Shakita, I don't want to tell you most of the movie what they're going to
see. No, go ahead. That's fine.
He comes off in the movie is very supportive of his wife. Now, he did step out on her, so I'm not going to say that in the movie, but do you think that the movie portrayed that stereotype that men feel like they're inferior? Definitely in the black community, that a lot of men feel like they're inferior to their women.
Before you guys answer, because you saw it, can I just say something really quickly?
Wait,
no, but I didn't see it. But I want to comment. I want to shift what you're saying a little bit. I think that a lot of times when men see stuff like this, because you're the only man here, so I'm talking about you. So when you see a movie like this and you see a woman of such great, character, like a businesswoman, a mother, and all of these things, just probably listening to her speak to this man probably just made you feel a little bit uncomfortable because she was a boss. At the end of the day, when they were discussing and talking about business, this is exactly what they were doing, discussing and talking about business. Mm-hmm. This had nothing to do with the household, him running anything, him being the man of the house or the man in a relationship, any of that stuff. This is business. And if they're discussing business or talking about business, maybe, at some point, no matter what gender, you have to play your role. Mm. And if I am a woman and I own a chain of grocery stores and you are good at something and you happen to be my husband and I ask you to help me with the advertisement, when we're discussing business, I'm going to talk to you like I talk to any other employee. And I don't want anybody to forget, especially not you, that this is my business. Because if the shoe was on the other foot and it was the man having the conversation, it was his business and he was talking to his wife, you wouldn't feel as though he was talking down to her. It would be, he is a man and he's having a conversation with an employee that happens to be his wife. And the fact that you said that, I'm sure other men are probably thinking the same exact thing. Oh, she talking down to him. She this, that, and the other. What, instead of looking at it as this woman is the owner and operator of this company.
May I
and not being offended. Yeah, no, go ahead.
I believe that it's all in the director's eyes and what they put on camera for you to see. Now, they were very intentional, in my opinion, to make sure that they showed the moments in which she was sunning him. Mm-hmm. They made sure they showed that for whatever reason, from the director's eye view, that's how they portrayed it and that's how it was put out there. Now, they could have flipped that. And very easily, let's go back to what I was saying before about, him being a salesman and him rubbing off on her and being a saleswoman. It would have been awesome if they showed those moments of intimacy between them when he was really grilling her like, no, you get out there, you sell this product. No, you say it this way, you push it this way, you tell a story, and them going back and forth on the same level of equality.
But do we know that was actually true though? That you believe that?
I do believe that to be true. I really
do you also believe, because you've seen the movie, do you really believe that she was in those sunning moments? Do you believe that was her sunning him?
No, I don't. I don't think so.
I believe that they were hand in hand. I mean, he had his strengths and she had her strengths.
I believe. Go ahead, Keisha. If you do the research, he wasn't good with money. So that's the part of the story that they didn't tell you. So he probably fucked up the bag a couple times, and that's why
he told us to sit his ass down.
Right,
sit your ass down.
Right. So that's probably what it was. But why, if you didn't do any research to get that detail, it came across. I had a man that messed up the bag once or twice, so I get it, right?
Yeah.
So, but it didn't come across when you watch the movie, it came across like he did nothing, like it was her own show, and that wasn't the truth either.
They literally had him in a scene just washing hair.
Right.
Yeah, like that's all he could do. That's all he was worth, just to wash
hair. Right. And then I think from this movie, right.
Was watching. No, and I'm only saying that because Quentin said he felt as though they portrayed him as being sunned by her. And again, my point is, if the shoe was on the other foot, if he was the Mr. CJ Walker, and she was only washing hair, she would just be, wow, she contributed so much to his business. She washed hair, and nobody would think nothing about it.
But think about it like this: all them times, like the women put the men through school or whatever.
Yeah,
for them to be a doctor. Right. It was kind of like the same. She couldn't have, in my opinion, she couldn't have got to where she was without him.
That's true.
I believe that.
Literally carried there. She literally carried his name. Literally.
Yeah.
And so many women had a problem with that, because I know my homegirl hit me up, was like, would you change your name to your husband's name to sell a product? I'm like, yo, if that brand is going to fit what I'm selling, who knows? But she literally said, okay, I'm going to take on his name, because she could have been easily Sarah, Walker, whatever the case is.
Yeah, whatever worked. That worked.
Yeah, whatever worked.
Imagine it working.
And then we got to think of the era and the time they was in too. We're talking about like the 1900s, in which you're like, oh, that's Mr. Charlie's wife. That's Mr. Such wife. You know what I'm saying? So we have to also think about the era they was in, and it's not 2020.
And especially after that man left her and treated her so bad when her little head was bald, she didn't found her a good man.
Was that not a bit extreme? Was that not a bit extreme? Because when that
because they get mean like that.
No. Not in the way
her hair was missing.
Not in the way he treated her, the way her hair was. Because from the research I did, it seems like she just had dandruff.
Oh, her in particular. Okay.
Right.
See, I don't know what condition her hair was in, but I know a lot of women, and I don't know if they were trying to show, make her a little bit more relatable, because so many women have issues with their hair. So I don't know if
that's how you perceived it. Now,
no, I'm not saying that I perceived it that way. I'm making up excuses. I'm just saying maybe.
How I saw it was, here go light skin and here go dark skin. Let's make her look. You remember the movie back in the day with Halle Berry and Robin Givens and Boomerang, and they tried to make Robin Givens look all glitzy and glammy with the hair and all that, and they tried to make Halle Berry look a little homely, if you will. So I feel like in this movie they made Madam CJ Walker, when she only had an issue with dandruff. In this movie, it was depicted like she had alopecia or something going on, and it just wasn't right. And so then you have the other woman who is her rival, that's just
glitz and glamour,
light skin with long hair and everything. That's how I saw it. I just thought it was a little extreme. That's that sensationalizing that I was talking about.
Do you guys think that Madam, in the scene with the funeral director, that she should have told CJ?
Damn, that's a good point.
Andrea, you look like you ready.
So somebody give me a little bit of the funeral director. What he do?
He pretty much attempted to rape her.
Pretty much.
Did she tell her man?
No.
I got to plug her for Paris.
I mean, I felt like I have to look at it from my perspective, me being a married woman and knowing my husband. Well, I had told my husband, but I think we would have to move out of town that same night, because it probably would have went down. You know what I'm saying? So I think she wanted to protect him from a sense of, you know what, I'm trying to build my business. I'm trying to build my brand. So, let me keep this close to my heart. Let me keep it, confidential. Cause what they said, even though that's your husband, but you should know your mate. You should know your spouse. And she probably was trying to say, you know what, let's not ruffle the feathers, because I need this money by any means necessary. Everybody else may look at it differently. But you got to know who you're dealing with, and knowing, okay, do I protect my brand, or do we have to move out of town because he may go to jail, or, whatever the case is. So
I think that's just part of, unfortunately, the fabric of the world, in which you have situations where you have women who are trying to move forward in business professionally, and then you have men who are in high power positions and they try to take advantage of it. That's just what it is. Whether or not she should have told her husband, she knows her husband better than any of us.
Better than anybody, yeah.
So she did what she felt was appropriate at the time.
Right.
So let me ask you ladies something, and this speaks to the Black woman. Did all you guys know about Madam C.J. Walker prior to this?
I did.
Yes.
And the reason why I asked that is, do you think that this Netflix, if a person does not do the research, you think it made her legacy look good or bad?
I know it makes her look like a thief.
Well, she was a thief. She was a thief.
But it's so much more to her story than that, because if you look at it historically, people who are, living quite nicely these days have been because either them or their family were thieves. So my thing was, like I said in the very beginning, I would have liked for them to really highlight more of her wealth, her success, her accomplishments, what she did for the next generation, which was her daughter. That would have been great, and that was not depicted. And so my answer to your question simply is that they didn't do a good job, and her image could very easily be tarnished if you just take that at face value and don't do any research. But that's our job as not only viewers, but women in our community, to be able to pass on more information. And that information can be passed on just by starting within your own household.
I feel like he's gone. I feel like a lot of people liked it though. Like, I feel like our opinions are kind of few and far between. It made me do research. It would make me want to know more about the Annie Malone. But that's just me by nature. Someone else, they're gonna have a picture of this woman that is so not accurate. Like, they really painted her out to be the villain, and in a lot of ways she was the victim.
Right.
So, and it kind of made me not like Madam C.J. Walker, but then I had to do my own research. So I think it ain't going to tarnish her reputation for the masses. I don't think so, because I just think they looking at it as they mad at Blair Underwood. They mad at the husband. Like, so I don't think everyone is viewing it in the same light.
Definitely.
Drea?
I feel like it will, if people are not intellectually on it, that don't do the research, they'll be like, oh yeah, because I have seen people, I'm going to be the next, Madame C.J. Walker. So that means you're not going to care about your health. You're going to steal products. You're going to also to just neglect your holistic self, because let's remember, at the end, she could have lived probably a little bit longer, but she had to push and get the bag, and by any means necessary. Also, too, they didn't highlight the daughter going to Knoxville College, and Madame C.J. Walker paying for that, or just even with her whole philanthropy, movement. So I think it's going to tarnish if you don't really do the research behind it, of like, oh, you know what, I'm going to be the next person. But yeah, are you going to actually follow her actual blueprint, or are you going to do things on your own? So I just feel like people should do their own research. Even with Annie Malone, it wasn't that Madame C.J. Walker put her out of business. Her ex-husband put her out of business and caused her to go bankrupt. So, that's something that you have to look beyond and do your own due diligence.
Why did they change her name for the movie?
Exactly. So they must have...
Because her family must have didn't sign off on it. Right. I wouldn't have signed off on it.
And Drea, when we get done with the broadcast, post in the group what you shared on your page.
Okay.
What her granddaughter shared.
Okay.
So what I want to say is, I've always heard I've always heard that she stole her formula. But I never took offense to it or ever looked at her differently. I just kind of thought, in a time where hair care was at the beginning, at the brink of, busting out and everybody exploring, I never took it as she was a thief or was stealing. More or less just at some point you got to start somewhere. And if she made her own product or took a product and made it better than the next, we all been doing that in our houses for the last 5 years, making our own hair conditioners and making our own hair gels and body scrubs and all kinds of stuff. And people all over the internet and everywhere else is selling hair products and growth oils and all kinds of stuff. Who's to say that somebody is stealing? I never thought of it as stealing. I just thought of her at some point, maybe took something and made it better, and she was more successful. I wasn't as familiar with the other woman and the other people that were making hair care products at the same time. I didn't know who she stole from. I didn't know who she allegedly stole from. I had no clue. That part of the story is new to me. But hearing that she took a product, I've heard that before.
But I think that you could be okay probably with the stealing. But how she gonna steal from this lady and then y'all do this movie and make her the victim? I think that's what my issue is more so than anything else, because like the other lady was a chemist or a hairdresser, and she did steal it or whatever, but they made it seem like it was all this tension because she was doing so much better. No, that lady was mad because she stole her damn product.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So I just feel like it was enough drama in the real story.
And I wonder who was the writer of the story. I mean, I get the two executive produced, but I wonder what the writer has to say. I wonder if he'll make a statement or say something. Because at some point, I mean, the three of you guys, and four, including Quentin the man, I'm sure you guys aren't the only ones who feel this way or have these opinions. Because I'm sure after I'm done watching, I may have some of the same opinions too. So I wonder if the writer of the 4 or 5 part miniseries, I wonder if he had something to say.
Well, I'll just say that I watched it. I had every intention to watch it. I was on the phone with Keisha and she said it dropped yesterday. You should watch it. We should talk about it. But had I known that Kasi Lemmons had anything to do with this, I would not have watched it because of what she did to General Harriet Tubman's legacy.
I know you're mad about that. You heard me call the general.
Yeah.
With all due respect, and I understand TV. I read a lot of books. I understand marketing. I understand media a little bit. You don't have to destroy no one's legacy to boost no one else's up. And at this day and age, with what I see that my Black sisters go through with always being put down in society, what they did to the legacy of Anne Malone is borderline criminal. Because this woman is revered in St. Louis. She has a parade in her honor every year during the month of May. And it's really sad that Kasi Lemmons or whoever decided to put that in the movie and basically use a fictitious character, but talking about her. So,
and what's her name in this movie?
Something similar, same
Addie.
And and you guys are right. They could have literally left her out and spoke about so many other things. They could have started from the point where she started mass producing, and they could have told her story. Even if she stole, like you said, she's made amends. She's donated so much money. She's given so many jobs. They could have started at that point and left this woman completely out of it.
And what about the backstory to be able to get this factory and what she had to go through to get the money?
That's a phenomenal story right there.
That's a story in itself. Let's talk about that house in Irvington, New York.
Exactly.
That house to this day is still phenomenal. So you're talking early 1900s. You know, what did that house look like? What did the community what was their reaction? What did they do to her? What was the feelings of the neighborhood when she bought this home? You know, it's so many stories. There's so many. It's like an onion. You can just peel back all the layers to the story, and what they chose to pull out for the story
was all the controversy. They couldn't even, like you said, they couldn't even use the woman's real name.
Right.
And I know, and the way y'all,
right.
Yeah, the way y'all telling it, it has everything to do with her family not wanting to use her name and that information.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, honestly, just
now I don't want to watch it.
These two women.
I want you to watch it.
Yeah.
These two women were remarkable women. I mean, you didn't have to do that. That's all I have to say about it. I don't, I'm not trying to discourage.
And they both was millionaires. Like it wasn't just one. They both. I mean, the Annie Malone, like you said, she lost her money with the husband, but she didn't die destitute at all. And they both did things for the community. They did a lot, and it's just, to me, they didn't show enough of the good things.
They didn't even speak about Madam Walker's team. She had brilliant people on her team. One person even patented the some type of wave, not a cap, but it's a piece of equipment that's used for hair. They patented that. She had attorneys. They didn't speak about any of those people that were on
the attorney a little bit, I guess.
But they made him like a flunky though.
Yeah. I mean, she had, in that regard, she was about her business. It probably cost her life. But I just don't. You don't have to tear down another black woman to build a black woman up.
And then they had the nerve to play it during Women's History Month.
That's what we talked about earlier.
They could have done it in like I said, in just a different light, just with a different view.
I mean, because I kind of feel like the natural story is enough. Why did they have a falling out?
Right.
Because she was working for her. She was her top seller. Why did they have a falling out?
Right. Right.
So any more thoughts about it? I know, Shakita, you're gonna finish watching the rest of it.
Blair Underwood did look good.
But that's the only reason why I wanted to watch it anyway. That's the only reason why I wanted to watch it anyway. Because when I first saw the preview and I saw him, I ran to Netflix. I was like, "Oh, this movie is good." And then they was like, "It's not coming out yet." I was like, "Oh man, I gotta wait because he aging and backwards like a vampire."
Blair Underwood is a phenomenal actor.
Yes, he is.
He knows how to get places.
Yes,
I remember when he was in that law show. When he was in that law show years ago, I used to tune in every Thursday on Channel 4.
Was it LA Law?
I think LA Law,
Channel 4, 9 o'clock every Thursday. I would tune in and look at Blair Underwood.
It was not. It was ER, y'all. It was ER.
It was
on the law show. He was on the law show.
Oh, daggone ER. It was. You said it. You know what show he was on. I remember.
LA Law.
He wasn't on ER.
No, ever.
He wasn't said at all.
Thank you.
Yes.
Hello.
We know.
So let me ask you one quick question, because we know that her daughter was considered a socialite and very influential in the Harlem Renaissance. Hopefully one day we'll get a movie that explains the Harlem Renaissance and what it meant for our people during that time, definitely with the Great Migration up north, because most of our families were affected by that. So let's give Tiffany Haddish a break. How do y'all think she did?
You serious? They done answered you already.
I mean, I was hard on her at first, but I'm gonna say she did a C.
Oh,
minus.
Oh, you gave her high remarks.
Look at the Chiba up there. Like I'm not doing this no more.
I just feel like for such an important, like I said, it's I'll reiterate it again, for such an important movie. I felt like they just made light of this woman, and she could have been badass about her business, stepping out Harlem Renaissance, stepping out the cars, furs, jewelry, even if she had a lady.
Could you imagine if they told that story from the daughter's perspective? If the daughter was having flashbacks, if they started just talking like going through her life, the whole Harlem Renaissance, and then she would have flashbacks about her mother and the things that her mother taught her, and they could have completely left out that other woman,
right?
And let her talk and bring in things about her mother paid for her to go to college, the way her mother did her hair for her, all of those beautiful, sweet things they could have done, and then show that good relationship between mother and daughter.
I want us to be totally authentic, right? And I don't want nobody to say anything about the movie. Shakita, I didn't talk to you prior to the show. Is that basically I didn't know what Sheba's opinion about the movie was. I kind of knew Drea's and I knew Keisha's, and you didn't watch all of it yet. So I'm not trying to say that we're trying to bash the movie. We just reviewed the movie. I'm gonna ask you guys a question. Do you think when you're speaking about a movie or you're reviewing a movie or doing a movie, so to say, when it's about true characters, that you need to be as close to the truth as possible, or you could just, sensationalize it like this movie was?
I feel like if you sensationalize it, be careful of what you're doing to the true story. And one thing that's popping in my head right now is the story of Ray Charles and what Jamie Foxx did.
I watched that yesterday. Ooh.
Phenomenal job. Phenomenal job. The story was told. You got it. They didn't defame this man in any way, shape, or form to get the point across. And we don't know if he took somebody else's music or song or a note on them tickling them ivories. We don't know that. And no disrespect to Ray Charles, God rest his soul, but we don't know that. So I just feel like when you are telling someone's story, number one, you have to, if you can't talk to that person, you better talk to some people that are very close to that circle to find out about that person's character and what they were about and things that they went through, and to tell the true story, not a sensationalized story about you wanting to push your ulterior motive through this plateau that you have.
Well, it has to that has to have something to do with the woman who's writing, because it seems like that's a pattern, for her. Like, you know what I mean? To add so much to a movie, it's like, you don't have, like y'all's been saying, there's so many things that could have been touched on. There's so many different avenues they could have taken and made the movie, interesting. But I don't think they make these movies with us in mind. They tell their story and they get to sell their story exactly the way that they wrote it. And if whoever picks it up likes it, sponsors it, it goes on television. I wish we had more say when it comes to stuff like that, but we really just don't.
Right. I don't think that they did the research. And then it also too, they gave credit to Alelia Bundles, which is the great granddaughter of Madame C.J. Walker. Did y'all even read her book? Because I'm pretty sure she gave a lot of juicy information in that book, because she wrote a book, I think, out on her own or something like that. So did you guys read the book? Did you research? And I don't think that, they didn't, or they took bits and pieces, or they skimmed through it and was like, oh, we're going to tear that out. We're going to throw this in here, so it's very.
But she did have her hand in this movie. She did make a statement and she seemed pleased with it. So, I wonder if she did help them in some way, shape, or form. And maybe this is the way that the story was trickled down to her and what she's getting from, different family members, who knows? But if that's your grandmother, if that's your great grandmother, and this is the story that they're telling you of your grandmother, and you're reading the script, why would you sign off on it? Why would you say it was okay? I don't know. They wouldn't do my nana like that.
But I think at some point they lose their rights along the line. It'd be a lot of times. But I think so here's my thing. I think the movie was well acted. With the exception of Tiffany, with the exception of Tiffany Haddish, like they could have found somebody on the street.
The costumes are beautiful.
The costumes, the period piece. I didn't like the boxing sequences. I didn't understand. I didn't understand. I didn't feel like that.
They were
necessary.
battling. They were battling.
But
every time they come on, I'm waiting for.
But I just wanted to do.
I'm not getting that.
Does this type of drama sell to us? Is that why it was there?
Well, of course we were going to watch it because it's Madam C.J. Walker. Because I kept saying.
No, but I'm just saying, like, even like if you read the comments on the post, it's like y'all didn't see. Like, does this type of drama sell to us that it goes like right over our head? That's what. So maybe that's why they wrote the story like that. Like, this type of I gotta put a gay person in the movie. It's like, is that the traction or the avenue? Is that the road that we're traveling right now?
To get everybody a little something to relate to in the movie,
or was it a personal thing and it was personal to the person who wrote the story, and they felt like, oh, people may not know this.
This is what it is, but this is what it is. You know what I mean? So I don't know. Just for me, it wasn't necessary. I just didn't think it was necessary. A lot of it that wasn't necessary to tell. And I get it. It's a dramatization, but why is the dramatization that the light-skinned girl is pretty with the nice hair, the one that was raped by Master for lack of, that's the pretty one, and then the dark one, she miserable, she fat, her hair falling out. Like, you ain't had to do all of that.
Do it like that.
To me.
It would have been beautiful if they would have showed the progress of her hair growth.
Well, I mean, they did it a little bit, I guess. But they did it in a way like, I can't put you out there to sell nothing for me because, like, that's how they did it. You know what I mean? Because, allegedly she helped her to grow her hair back.
Correct.
Why couldn't it be about sisterhood and bonding and then talk about the fallout?
Because they make it seem like they never bonded at all. They made it seem like they never bonded. They were never friends, except for
that doesn't appear to be the truth.
I wash your clothes, you do my hair, and then she asked one time, and she told her no. It was like they never had a relationship. They were never friends, and that one exchange of I took your products to sell. Here's your money. She took it, and they were done with each other.
Right, and it doesn't seem like, if you do the research, it doesn't seem like that's the truth. So,
and from what they show in the movie, it doesn't even show that she stole from her. It just shows that if I can't sell your product, I'm gonna make my own.
Oh no, you didn't get to it. She admitted she stole from her.
Yeah,
you didn't get to that part.
If it don't smell alike,
I don't even know if it was.
She may say it better.
They was in two different parts of the world, in a way. So she had her clients, she had her other clients, they were rivals. Yeah.
I don't know. I'll finish watching, and I'll keep everything you guys said in mind. We'll see. I'm really only here for Blair though. I gotta be quite honest. I hope the rest of it is pretty good, but I can't wait till ooh and ah all over that man.
Now, and why she ain't knock him upside his head when she found him in the bed?
I know.
Y'all seen that video lately? Y'all saw that video out on Instagram where that girl jumped on that bed and hit that girl with that pot upside her head and to her man. I would have went up top on her. Up top. Don't fight the woman, fight the woman. Fight the man.
Anybody have closing remarks they'll like to leave off with, final thoughts? Or should we gonna leave it with Shakita and Blair Underwood?
I do have one final remark, which I'm have to research after we get off. LeBron James accordingly had negotiated Octavia Spencer's salary for this movie. How much was they was trying to give her if he had to go step in and negotiate? Because this is sounding like a Precious moment with Monique. And I'm like, hold on now, because this is the second time I'm hearing somebody negotiating her salary. So how much was y'all trying to give this woman for this movie?
I just hope that she's not being typecasted. I'll say that.
As what? The Help?
Stop it, Keisha. But anyway, and no more closing remarks with that.
I have closing remarks.
Okay, Sheba.
There are certain characters that we've heard about over time that are always in the history books, and they're popular. African Americans in history: Harriet Tubman, C.J. Walker, W.E. Du Bois, Marcus Garvey. Those are major names. I just wish that people would do more research, because we have so many more outstanding African Americans who have contributed to society today. And I just wish people did more research. I hope that people will do more research on Madam C.J. Walker to get the true story. And who knows, maybe in another 10, 15, 20 years, maybe somebody will do the story over again.
Right.
I hope that happens. And then we get it from a different eye view. I just encourage everybody to do yourself a favor, if not at least once a month, as often as you can, to do more research on some of our great African Americans and the contributions that we've made to the world.
Definitely. Right. Yeah, because definitely, like, even being at work, I am in charge of the Black History Month. And I make it a point of finding someone who has contributed to us and to the world that is different, that nobody's ever heard of, and to get those emails back and say, I've never heard of that person. I never knew that. I didn't know this. I didn't know. I'd be like, oh my, and then I learn things as well. You know what I mean? Because I'm always looking for somebody different. Like, you get to, and it's not that you get tired of it, but it's almost like we have more than 5 famous Black
correct
people in the world. Like, it's not just Malcolm X,
Dr. King.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, there's so many others. And I mean, all of the ones that I thought of like this year were just amazing. And to see, even the first Black White House correspondent was a woman. And to read about her struggles being at the White House, being put out, being told she can't, ask certain questions, or had to do her interviews from outside when all the other ones were in the inside, and for her to be able to go from there to go getting into Congress and doing all of these amazing things, like, it's almost like you said, there's more than just Madam C.J. Walker. I would have never heard, and again, I heard it, she stole, but I would have never known who that was. You know what I mean? So why aren't you telling her story too? Because if she stole from somebody or modeled her product after somebody else, why isn't it the first story you tell?
I want for them to really delve into her history as far as financial and how she was able to move like she moved, how she was able to purchase property on top of property,
especially during that time.
During that time, a lot of things as women we were not allowed or permitted to do without a man. So are these properties, were they in her name? What are the stories of the 20,000? I didn't say 20. What are the stories of the 20,000 people she employed?
Go ahead.
Right.
Even now, I think we're all of us are business or have our own businesses, right? Even now, when we are trying to understand the business and learn about the business, and you go to these events or you meet these other women who are, these business owners, and they have florist shops, they have beauty salons, they have all of this property, and they do all this stuff, and you ask them, how did you do it? Right. And their story is always, well, I worked really hard and I prayed.
Right. Right.
I'm asking you a real question, and I'm asking you step by step to hear Madam C.J. Walker's story in depth of how she purchased her property.
Right.
To hear her actually say that, even though it's completely different from now, but to hear that would truly motivate somebody to do the same. Even now, when you ask somebody, how did you own a sneaker store? It's almost like it's a secret. It's almost like it's a secret
because they don't they give the blueprint away. They think you're going to steal it,
but there is no blue. It's the same process for everybody else. We're talking about what's black and white.
Right.
I'm asking you when I ask you about how'd you open your business, I'm not asking you what you did to make it special. I'm asking you what you did when you went online and you got your tax ID number, because some people don't want to do that. You know, when you then after you got the tax ID number, you had to file for your LLC or your different. How'd you do that? You know, how much did it cost you? You know, did you print your paperwork online, or did you go down to City Hall to get your papers? Are you doing business ads, or are you incorporated? They don't want to have those conversations, and then it's like, you know, then you say, well, how did you get your shot? Well, you know, I got lucky and I was at the right place at the right time and God blessed me. You know what I'm saying? They don't tell you how many inspections they had to go through. They don't tell you where do you apply to get the licenses to do the work in your sneaker shop. How you had to get a licensed electrician to come in and put those beautiful lights up to shine on the sneakers. They don't tell you that kind of stuff. You know what I mean? Because they feel as though they're giving you something, a secret. There is no secret to that.
Correct. Right.
That is in black and white. There's a process that you have to go through to get that. So and why can't you tell me?
And those are the things that I felt like should have been highlighted in this movie, because
she was a
businesswoman. She was a business woman.
Yeah, show her being a businesswoman. We sure enough don't see it no other time.
She had a factory.
Right. How'd you get a whole factory?
You had a whole factory.
And not in 6 months neither, because I think a lot of times in our era we hear, oh, I went from rags to riches in 6 months and I make 6 figures. But what's the process in between that?
Right.
If you went from a sharecropper, because we forgot to mention that too. You go from a sharecropper to being a multimillionaire. So it's a process you have to go to. And like I said, in the 1900s, you have to do a lot of moving and shaking and have to create a lot of networks. And not just in where you're at, but like in New York and other places. So, you know, that's something that they could have expanded on instead of this whole, I went to rags to riches and I'm trying to keep this information to myself.
And she was the first beautiful man on my arm. Born free, correct? She was the first of her siblings that was born free. So, where's that story?
Right. Or the story of her brothers being the barbers, because a lot of times one of her brothers had helped connect Annie to her.
Correct.
And I think that her brother-in-law was abusing her or something. Like maybe that's why she was the way she was as a woman, because she was abused previously with her other husbands. Like it was like natural drama. I mean, once you did some research.
Yeah,
but it's like they made it for TV. They took the story.
Well, I mean, now that I realize what writer that was, it all makes sense. It all makes sense.
I guess
the work that she puts out, and she gets people to. And when you think of movie execs or TV execs or whatever that is, who are looking to buy movies and television shows to put on TV for people to watch, they're gonna buy something they think the people are gonna watch. And if this woman. Right. And if this woman takes something or takes these movies and we running out to go see them, they're going to keep employing her. They're going to keep buying her scripts and keep sponsoring it and putting her out there.
Well, not for nothing, it's 3 names that already sold the movie from the jump. Number 1, Madam C.J. Walker. That sold it. Number 2, Blair Underwood.
I was about to say, don't forget Blair.
Okay. And 3, Octavia. Playing Madam C.J. Walker. That's it. That sold the story in itself. So use that platform.
You know, they don't think that that's enough. And when I mean by they, I mean they. They don't think that that's enough, because I mean, come on, they don't. Madam C.J. Walker would have been enough, because I've never seen a movie about her or with her. She would have been enough. They don't care. They don't think so.
Did I miss it at some point?
But for me, the woman's history, right?
At one point, did they drive up in the car, the infamous picture?
Towards way at the end, when they were showing like the different, like, this is what happened. She was the first person to have a colorized, photo in this car. It was like way towards the end, but not like actual in the movie. They showed that.
I'm sure that's not her only car. See, this is what I'm saying.
I would have liked
she had a fleet of bad. Because once she got her hair growing, she thought she was everything.
Right. That house in Irvington, New York, that was hers.
Yeah.
I you know, she probably had a little beach house. It's a hair school.
Right.
And I know at one point they said they were going to do tours, but it was closed, but they made it to a hair school. And I keep saying I needed to go up there and see when they, have any tours and stuff.
In my mind, it would have been a better story to show the two black millionaires.
Yeah.
They could have gave us that story and we didn't even know about the other person. And then you could have educated us about both of them.
Definitely.
Yeah, that would have been nice. Like if from each of their
that would have been dope. Yeah.
Just a movie about the competition.
We need the writer to do it.
Would have been phenomenal. Just them going toe to toe. One move here, the other one come, and she's doing. I mean, this woman had salons there too. They didn't show any of that,
and they could make a lot of movies.
It was empty.
Yeah,
this is why we need more movie directors and more writers that look more like us, so we can tell better stories. Right. And I know we get sick and tired of watching the same remakes and all that other stuff, but sometimes until it's made right, you're gonna have to keep telling a couple of stories over and over again.
Right. And they could have if people watch it, and if it's more, aspiring directors, they could make at least 5 different movies from this depiction of My Damn C.J. Walker. We could even talk about Spelman College. How Rockefeller, that was named after his wife. We could have a movie about that. We could have a movie about Booker T. Washington and all 3 of his wives and how they started, let's say...
Why you keep saying 3 wives? You had 3 at the same time?
He had 3. They died.
I don't like how you saying that. I was about to say, none of these men know.
Well, Madam had 3 husbands.
Yeah. That's fine, but don't...
But, he had 3 wives that pretty much, they could have a movie about that and the Negro Women Council that's in DC and how that helped, women empowerment and also just women enterprises. So it could be a lot of movies made just from watching.
Yeah, we gotta do better. We gotta put out some more stuff.
They need to do one on that daughter.
Yeah, because that daughter was a mess.
Yes,
that daughter needs.
That daughter was a mess.
Needs some movie.
Yeah, I agree. I definitely agree. Moving around in Harlem during that era.
Mm-hmm.
Just not with Tiffany Haddish.
Correct. Correct. I agree.
They always drop the ball of giving up and coming new Black actors and actresses their time to shine. You know what I mean? Could you imagine like somebody good, somebody new coming in, a fresh face to play her daughter?
Yes,
they always drop the ball at that. It's like they don't have any. They watch a couple of music videos or some old and just grab any old damn body. Always drop the ball and give it somebody new something.
She wasn't necessary for that.
She wasn't
at all. It's almost like they made a joke of her accomplishment.
Did you see them dancing with the divorce? Something that was
I hated that part.
Which part?
When I'm getting a divorce and they had like a dance.
Oh yeah, that was.
What kind of nigga trickery was that? No, I didn't like that part.
I'm going to use that. I'm gonna let me write that down. Nigga trickery. What you call it? What you say?
Nigga trickery.
Let me write that down. Let me make a note of that. I like that.
That was not necessary.
No, it was not.
It really wasn't.
It was not. No. Like I said, they could have really done a phenomenal job during this time of the year where we really needed to see something uplifting and positive and strong. And they fell so short.
Yeah,
they really fell short on the ball. So, say la vie.
Well, I can't wait to watch it. And Quentin's signal completely dropped, but thank you, ladies, for coming on. And I was late because I was picking up dinner before that 8:00 curfew. Trying to get off that road before I be in jail.
That's right.
They trying to find you. Is that not crazy?
Yeah. They are finding $1,000.
I was outside like, come on, y'all taking too long to come to my car. But yeah, it was beautiful. Nice to see you all, and it
You all
was
as
such a
well.
great time.
Everybody
All
stay
right.
safe. Stay safe.
Thank you.
All right.
Until
Good
next
night.
time.
Bye bye.
Good night.
Good night.
Night.